Hello there, lovely folks at YouTube. Ren here. So, in my search for a place to make videos, now that my kids' classwork has taken over basically the entirety of my house, and it's too cold to do anything outside because it's now November. Yay! This is what I've chosen. I'm here in front of my bookshelf. This is not a place that I normally spend a lot of time. I store books here, but I don't normally hang out in this room. This is actually like our guest bedroom. So it's kind of a weird angle just to be able to fit, you know, the camera in here because there's basically a huge bed in here and all kinds of stuff. It's a small room with a lot of stuff because this is kind of our room where we throw all the things that we don't normally do. But I do have my bookshelf in here. When we no longer live in this house, I'll probably move it into an actual ritual room, but for now I don't have an actual ritual room, so here it is. But anyway, this is the place that I chose to just make this video because I wanted to talk about a book, and what better setting than in front of my bookshelf, right? So this is the book that I have that I want to talk about. This is a book by Judy Ann Nock. It is The Modern Witchcraft Guide to Magical Herbs. This was published in 2019 with Simon & Schuster, which is one of the larger publishers, so not actually a metaphysical publisher, but one of the more big name publishers. Their move into the witchy trend that we have going on in the world today. But even though it's not from one of the smaller metaphysical publishers, it is still a really good book. I've really enjoyed it, and let's talk about why. So, first of all, I mean, you look at the book itself. It's a really nice, solid book. It's got a nice hardcover on it. The cover art is really nice. The one issue that I have, which some people may not take issue with, but I find it difficult, they have this really nice sort of antiqued looking rough edge paper on it. Makes it look a little bit more like a handmade book. However, it also makes it difficult to kind of flip through the pages at times, because the pages are so uneven and sometimes they stick together, and you know, like if you're just trying to flip through, it's hard to get to a specific page. So that is one caveat that I have with this book, but it looks so pretty. So but anyway, as far as the contents of the book goes, this book is divided into 3 parts. The first part just gives like an overview of some of the history of herbs and their uses. Part 2 is an A to Z herbal compendium. Not all of the herbs, obviously, but a pretty good selection of them. And then the third part, which is actually the part that I got the biggest kick out of, and I was the most enjoying. The final part actually gives several different like herbal spells and uses, and they're sorted by the type. So there's a whole chapter on love spells and ways you can use herbs and love spells. There's a whole chapter on divination and ways you can use herbs and divination. So that I thought was really cool. Just my general impression is that I really like this book. It's a cute book. This is a book that if I had gotten this book earlier on, when I was first starting, I would have loved this book. Absolutely loved it, and it probably would have been my #1 favorite book. As it is now, being a little more advanced, I didn't get anything new out of it, but I do like the way that the information I already knew was presented. I enjoyed reading it. It was fun. It was light yet informative. I think it's a really good intro book. So if you're like just getting started into herbal crafting, this is a really good place to start from, because this is something that will keep you engaged and make it fun, you know. And let's face it, if you're learning about things and it's just like a slog and it feels like you're just in school, you're not, you know, it's not something you're going to stick with. So just having it be light and fun can sometimes be a good thing. So I think that it was really good for that. Personally, I probably will use this book because any book that has an A to Z herb reference in it, I always go back to so that I can cross-reference it against other works. So I'm always looking for what other practitioners are, you know, doing with particular herbs and just their impressions on the correspondences and how you can use these herbs, because I like to excuse me, I like to cross-reference and see like, okay, well, so, you know, Cunningham said this and Peyrell says this and now Judy Ann Knox says this, and therefore, you know, looking at these three things, I can definitively say that this herb does this, or I could use this herb for that, and so on and so forth. So anything that has an A to Z reference is always a plus in my book. I really only have one downside about this book, and this happens in a lot of the modern books. Really, like, Cunningham and Bayerl are really the only two that I've ever seen that have done this, is that they don't have just like a handy reference table of correspondences where it's like, if you're looking for an herb that does love magic, say you want to do a love spell, you just want to do an herb that does love magic. In Cunningham, you can go to the back of the book and just, you know, for love magic, and it gives a whole list of herbs that you can then basically kind of like go, okay, which of these do I actually have? And then, you know, kind of get an idea of where to start from, where to, you know, focus more research into to determine what herbs would be best when you're making your own spells. This book doesn't have anything like that. So it's, if you're looking to craft your own spell work, which I always recommend, this book isn't very strong for supporting that. That's really the only caveat that I have with this book. It's a good book to kind of get you interested in the subject if you're brand new to it. It's a good book to have for cross-referencing when you are building your own spells, but without that, like, you know, table of correspondences in it, it makes it more difficult, and you're still going to be relying on other sources that have those sorts of tables. So anyway, but yeah, that's what I have. Like I said, I like this book. I will recommend it, but with some caveats, like I mentioned. If you're a beginner, by all means, yes, get this book. If you're more advanced, you know, you might not find anything new in here, but it's still fun to read, so borrow it from the library, because, yeah, libraries are cool too. So, anyway, that's all I had for you today. So, I hope this video finds you well, and I will see you again soon.